recording. Fran, you are all set to go.
Great. Thank you, Amber. Good morning, everybody. I'd like to call this meeting to order. The time is 9:01. And Amber, would you kindly take attendance?
Yes, thank you. Ava Bermuda Zimmerman,
Present.
Isha Canada.
Present.
Adrian Cochran will not be joining us this morning. Andrea Comer.
Sorry. Present.
Like, I know you're there. Sheila Hummel.
Present.
Ellen McKitterick.
Present.
Eleanor Michael will not be joining us this morning. Fran Pastore.
Present.
David Salazar Austin. There's David. I'll circle back to him in just a moment. Mike Soltis.
Present.
Molly Weston Williamson will not be joining us today. Holly Williams.
Present.
Janae Woods Weber.
Present.
Justin Zartman.
Present.
Melissa Gibran will not be joining us today. And just circling back, David Salazar Austin.
Present.
Good morning, David. Thank you. We have a quorum.
Great. Good morning, everybody. And I'd like to acknowledge the members of the public who are joining us today. Thank you. The first order of business is to review and approve the January 8th minutes of the meeting. Do I have a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Second. Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Okay. Thank you so much. I believe the
I'm
motion
sorry,
passes.
sorry, through you, Madam Chair, an abstention for me because I wasn't at the meeting.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Yep. Okay. Thanks, everyone. Moving right along. This is a very short agenda today. Jess, outreach and engagement update.
Thank you, Fran. Good morning, everyone. Sorry, let me just do that one more time. Okay. All right, so happy to share with you what the outreach and engagement team has been up to for the past several months since you last heard from us. Since it's the beginning of the new year, I always like to do a little recap of our activities. So we attended 68 in-person events in 2025. We held 29 webinars and we issued 21 press releases. In terms of our website traffic, we had over 969,000 unique visitors, which was up 10% year over year. Those folks looked at 11.6 million pages on our site, and that was up 8.3% year over year. In terms of podcasts, we issued 2 per month, so 24 in the 12-month period. We conducted 62 new partner meetings with different community groups, nonprofits, and other small businesses and other organizations. 17 news pieces were published about us, either in print, radio, TV, etc. We hosted, of course, our first Connecticut Paid Leave event with the Family Expo in October. We also released 24 episodes of our 5 Minutes of Impact segment. And we sent out 25 email newsletters, and the results of those were over a 50% open rate, which was up 14% over last year. We're up to 179,000 subscribers. That was up just about 3% year over year, and a 5% click-through rate, which was also up 14% year over year. Wanted to call out a new initiative that Nicole, our community partnership liaison, has been working really hard on. So towards the middle of December, she decided to start doing outreach to all the different municipalities throughout the state. Now, of course, we know that municipalities are not covered by the program unless their unionized employees collectively bargain in. But Nicole saw a great opportunity since, town halls, et cetera, are really hubs for the community where people go for information. So she reached out to all 169 towns and cities throughout the state. She has thus far conducted over 20 meetings, and the results have been really encouraging. So some of the different things that have resulted from this are introductions to economic development committees within the towns, invitations to present at libraries, community centers, and senior centers, Many of the towns have been very open to placing our information in the town hall, organizing numerous in-person events, presenting to nonprofit collaboratives, posting on social media pages. In fact, Erin is going to be doing a Facebook Live with the mayor of, I believe it's New Milford, coming up soon. Connections with chambers of commerce and tabling at upcoming community events. So we're kind of branding this CT Paid Leave in Your Town. And we have a number of these events coming up where we are going to, again, either the town halls, the community centers, et cetera, and working with the towns to present information about the program to businesses and families alike. So this is just one example of the New Milford event, which is coming up in March. So the beginning of the year is always a little bit slower for events, but we are starting to fill in our calendars. You can see with March and April. I won't go through every single item, but some kind of neat things that we did. Maddie in January went to the executive branch orientation for legislators and staff. We'll be doing a community baby shower at the end of this month in Avon with the Kin Collective. Some of the events that we do every year that are always great for us, the CBIA When Women Lead Conference. We're excited that Erin's going to serve as a panelist at that event this year, so that'll be exciting. We have the Lucinda's House baby shower, which is always great for us. And then you can see the paid leave in your town. We have a number of those coming up, including South Windsor, Berlin, Farmington, New Milford, as I mentioned, and we have some others in the works. And then lastly, in April, we'll be participating in the Aging Matters Conference in Newington, and there's a speaking opportunity there as well. It seems like it was so far in the past, but I know you haven't heard from the O&E team since we actually executed the Family Expo. So I just wanted to give a quick update on how that went. We felt it went really well. We had great feedback from both exhibitors and attendees alike. I just put a couple of quotes that came from our exhibitors after we did a post-event survey. So they not only appreciated the opportunity to interact with the public, but also the networking opportunities provided for them to engage with other community groups and organizations. It was so well received that we said, yes, we absolutely want to do this again next year, meaning this year in 2026. And so we've locked in the date of Saturday, October 10th, and we'll be taking the show on the road to New Haven. So we've secured the Q House in New Haven for this event in 2026. Again, seems like it was so far in the past, but it really wasn't too long ago. So I wanted to give a final update on the school outreach. We held 17 webinars talking about the changes to the program as a result of the legislative changes covering non-certified school employees. Those were broken up into 4 separate groups. So non-certified workers at public schools, workers at non-public schools, and then the public school operators from the employer side and the non-public schools from the employer side. We also conducted presentations for groups like the Connecticut Association of Superintendents, Connecticut Association of Independent Schools, Connecticut Association of School Business Officials. We created some dedicated places on our website for information, including an FAQ document. We collaborated with the Department of Education. We did multiple email outreaches to all the public school operators in Connecticut and also followed up individually with districts that still were not registered by the October 1st deadline. And I'm happy to report that we had really great success and we were able to get, I believe, all of the public school districts registered. We also did multiple email outreaches to non-public schools. We conducted a number of one-on-one meetings as folks requested. And then we had a robust digital campaign, which you can see the results and the metrics on the screen there with an overall digital impression count of 947,000. And we continue to work with schools. We have them reaching out, asking questions as they're navigating, making their first contribution payments and having some of their first employees applying for leave. So we're continuing to keep the lines of communication open. In 2026, we are wanting to put a renewed focus on employer outreach. We never forgot about the employers. We've been continuing to have specific campaigns and things for them, but we really wanted to just renew our focus. So the first thing that we've started with is a monthly listserv email, excuse me, that will be going out to all newly registered businesses based on the Secretary of State's records. So every month we'll be sending that email out. We did the first one in January to newly registered businesses in December, and that resulted in just over 4,000 contacts receiving the email, which I know you can't read it, but just to give you an idea that you see over on the right side. Part of that email not only explains what the program is and what the requirements are, as well as the options if the business may be a sole proprietor who does not yet have any employees, but also invites them to our monthly new business onboarding webinars. So every month we're holding one CT Paid Leave 101 for employers and one for sole proprietors. So we just did the first ones in February. We had about 10 folks in each one, which I was pleasantly surprised to start out with. And we will continue to do that monthly and also continue to promote the webinars in other ways, excuse me, to bring folks in. So the content of those webinars includes the registration process, deductions and remittance, notices to employees, and what to do when an employee applies, how to support them through that process, as well as some basic information about FMLA and where to find resources. On the community education coordinators front, as you know, as I talked about the last time I spoke to the full board, we had conducted or had issued an RFP for some new CECs to join our program, and that resulted in 3 new CECs who we granted contracts to. So that brings our total to 10 partners throughout the state. Just to give you an idea of the results from January 1st through September 30th, our 7 CECs that existed during that time conducted or attended over 460 events. That was events, workshops, trainings, etc. They provided application assistance to nearly 330 people, and you can see the breakdown of the reasons that were most common for that application assistance. Our 3 new contractors have been onboarded. We conducted our in-person training with them, which is sort of the culmination of all of their online training and putting it into practice last Friday on the 6th. And I just wanted to give you a visual of where our partners are throughout the state. So the red stars represent where we have our community education coordinators, and then the yellow stars represent member centers that are under the umbrella of the Alliance to End Sexual Violence, which is one of our CECs. So they are the ones we contract with, but they also disseminate information and have their member centers who can provide application assistance. And the yellow stars are where those member centers are located. So we're happy that we have some good regional diversity throughout the state of Connecticut. And we are really looking forward to this new program year and seeing what new things come from the program as it grows and matures. And then lastly, I just wanted to share one new piece of creative with you. This goes kind of hand in hand with that renewed focus on employers. And so this commercial talks from the employer perspective about Connecticut Paid Leave as a tool for retention. Excuse me, I just have to share a different screen. Let's see. Okay, let's see if I can get it to work.
As a small business owner, Connecticut Paid Leave has really been a godsend. It really allows me to attract and retain really great employees.
Employees know that they can come work for a small business and have the safety net. It makes me feel good that they're going to be able to get the services that they need.
It lends to a lot of positivity with our staff and more willingness to become a part of our team because they know that they have this benefit if they need it.
And so our idea with the campaign and the focus on employers is not just, hey, this is a law and you need to comply, but really, how can this work for you? How can this help you support your employees, attract good employees, retain good employees? And so we're sort of shaping our whole strategy around that message. So that concludes my updates, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Just so impressive. Really, really so impressive. Just seems like we've done so much to really, and the results are there, the impact is there. So creative, and impressive with results. So thank you and impact.
Thank you, Fran. And Andrea, I see your hand.
Hi, Jessica. Hope we're doing well. Wanted to just touch base. I was talking with some legislators, in particular Rep. Wilson. I don't know if you've had conversations with him, but he had, and I'm not sure where this information was gleaned from, but he had mentioned that men of color in particular have not been taking advantage of paid leave. I did see through your map that we are hitting some of those areas. But I just wanted you to speak to if there is demographic information that was captured, or if that was just sort of like, I don't want to say supposition on his part, but and then also if you could just speak generally to efforts to reach maybe populations that aren't taking advantage to the same extent.
Yeah, thank you for that feedback. We continue to do a couple of different things to try to connect with underserved populations or populations that may not be taking advantage as much with the program. So some of those are targeted media opportunities. So certain radio stations that we're choosing to work with or publications that we're choosing to place ads in. A lot of it is just trying to get ourselves into those communities with events. Oh, I think, did we lose Andrea? Oh, there you are. I said you disappeared and then you came back. Trying to participate in events that really target those populations. So we are really striving to identify those, and that's where our CEC partners have been really helpful, right? Because they are working directly with those communities. And so they not only act as that bridge and that liaison for us, but also can give us that insight that we might not have into, hey, you should connect with this particular organization because they really do a lot of work with this community. So those are some of the things that we're trying to do, but we definitely, are open to all kinds of suggestions. And so I would say perhaps Maddie and I could set up a time to talk with Rep. Wilson and see what other suggestions he might have for how we can conduct some more outreach to the community.
I'm a big fan of asking legislators to help find a solution.
Yeah, absolutely.
But this is great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Jess, I'm just make a suggestion. One of the things that we do is, and I think you already do this, so forgive me if I'm telling you something you're already doing, but a special legislative newsletter we send out. It's kind of content for them to put in their newsletter. And I'm always surprised how many people, electeds actually pick it up. But I think you might be already doing it.
Yeah, so Maddie does a monthly newsletter to legislators, which does have very, very high engagement. But what I love that you said, and what maybe Maddie and I can talk about doing is maybe we can put a little snippet in there that's something really easy for legislators to copy and paste and put into their newsletter to their constituents and just make it really kind of plug and play. So thank you for bringing that up. I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, plug and play is key. And also, I think that, and you guys, of course, again, know this better than I, but there's also somebody that's responsible for crafting those that probably should be getting those newsletters, should be getting our information. It's not necessarily that legislator, but it's somebody who's crafting that uniform. So just sharing. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, we have the legislators and their aides in that newsletter list. Okay, well, thank you for the opportunity to share our work with you.
Thank you. Well done. All right, Jess, you're going to continue because we are going to have a discussion and a vote to approve the development of a leave management conference for employers, right?
Yes, so let me get that one up to share, and I'm sorry that you're just having to hear me talk all morning. Right, someplace can go. That can go, and here we go. All right. So, again, this sort of just is a nice segue from what I was just mentioning about our engagement with employers. We would propose to you that we would like to hold an employer leave management conference hosted by the Paid Leave Authority. We would open this up to employers, HR folks, business owners of all sizes to learn more about not just paid leave, but overall employee leave in Connecticut. We'd like to run a one-day event. Time frame would be 7 a.m. to 3 p.m. and our proposed location is the Courtyard in Cromwell. We did seek proposals from 4 different venues to hold this event. And the Courtyard is the one that we would like to go with because it not only was the most cost effective, but it's also centrally located and it has great parking, which is important. We would like to also explore a partnership with the Society of Human Resource Managers in order to offer continuing education credits for HR professionals for attending. And the target date that we're looking at is September 16th of this year. The reason that we're looking at that time frame is we know summer is not great for things like this just because of vacations and whatnot. And some of the other HR conferences take place in the spring, so we didn't want to be competing with them. So we thought that September would be a good time to do this. We have 3 goals for this event. Education, so providing a comprehensive overview of Connecticut's leave laws, which would include paid leave, FMLA, as well as some federal laws like federal FMLA, ADA, Pump Act, et cetera, and how to manage them. Relationships, so building and strengthening relationships, both with partners that we already work with who specialize on certain topics, but also with that business and employer community. And, really just leaning into what we always are saying to folks, which is we want to be approachable. We want you to know that we're here to help. We're not just an agency that's here to say, follow the law or else, but we really want to help people figure out how to do that effectively. And then collaboration. So creating a space to share best practices and build community and network as well. Just a few potential partners that we brainstormed who we'd love to talk to about coming in to perhaps do a presentation on their area of expertise would be Department of Labor, CHRO, Chambers of Commerce, CBIA, SHRM, as I mentioned, the Connecticut Association of Nonprofits and the Connecticut Nonprofit Alliance, perhaps the Connecticut Bar Association, Hartford Business Journal, and Connecticut HR Council. Some of the topics that we thought might be useful to present on. So the foundations of leave management, current trends, how do the different laws intersect, a deep dive into the paid leave program, of course, legal perspectives on leave management. So talking about best practices, some Q&A on some, compliance challenges and more complicated issues. Talking to folks about how they build a compliant leave workplace policy and what they might need in their handbook. So really the nuts and bolts of, starting with a good foundation, right? Documentation and record keeping, and then supporting employees with compassion and compliance. So not only how do you make sure you comply with these, but how do you do it in such a way that your employees feel supported, which will benefit both employer and employee in the long run, right? The employee will have a good experience. They'll want to come back to work. They'll, feel appreciative of the employer. And then the employer will also have a better experience with being able to manage that leave and, fill those gaps while that person is out. In terms of the cost, the venue cost is quoted at just over $6,000. That would include the rental fee, food and beverage, audio, visual, and the service fee. And we do want to explore a few ideas to offset costs if the board approves us moving forward. So one idea is if we can obtain permission to get those SHRM credits, we may be able to charge a small attendance fee to the participants. And we also may be able to look at securing gifts to the state to help underwrite the cost of the event. So I'm sure there may be some questions, and I would be happy to answer any before you move on to the vote.
Any questions for Jessica?
Maybe no questions.
This
Yes,
is
I have a
Mike.
couple.
If I could ask a question, Jessica, I'm just curious why you wouldn't charge employers to attend. I mean, spoken at many of these employer conferences, put on some, and there seems to always be some charge to offset the expenses.
Yeah, so we're not opposed to that, but we really did want to see if we could secure those SHRM credits, as we know that that's a good incentive for folks who, they don't mind so much paying the fee to come if they're going to have that continuing education credit. But we truly just wanted to kind of present this idea to the board and see if it was something, viable that you would like for us to move forward with before we kind of examined all the logistics of if we charge, how much we charge, et cetera.
Okay, no, I think it's a great idea. And again, my my only observation about not charging is based on my experience. If you don't charge, it's easy for people to sign up, but then not show up. So you
Yeah,
have a high, absence rate.
no, I think that's a great observation, and I do agree with you. I've seen that with events in the past too, that if they have little teeth in the game, that they've paid some money, they're more likely to actually attend.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else for Jess? Mike, thank you.
This is
Anyone
Holly. I
else?
just had one quick question. Is this intended, or will this kind of, if it rolls forward, materially change kind of your outreach strategy moving forward? Like, is it intended to kind of help, fill a gap that is just not being filled otherwise? Like, how does it materially roll into kind of what the back end's going to look like? Does that make sense?
I think so. So I'll give you my answer, and then you can tell me if it's addressing the question. So, um, there's always sort of a couple of different audiences that we're trying to focus on, right? It's the general awareness to the public of what paid leave is and how they can access it. It's the healthcare providers or service providers as sort of like the point of contact when someone's experiencing that. And we find that the employer audience, there still seems to be a lack of knowledge and a lack of communication, especially amongst those small and mid-sized employers. So for me, that's the gap that this is filling, right? Just because we've talked to a lot of folks that, just because they work in HR, it doesn't always mean that they have a really good grasp of these leave laws, right? And how they intersect with each other. So for me, I feel like it's filling that gap of that small, medium-sized employer that does need a little bit more specific direction and instruction on not just our program, but FMLA and all the other things that go along with it.
Just to jump in, it also enables us to kind of capture people for the day. We can really only get people for a webinar for up to an hour. And we do a lot, DOL does a lot to try to get people to understand, but there's always these crazy nuances. And I think a longer format will help us really explore those kind of persistent areas of confusion. We still get people who don't know the difference between FMLA and paid leave. And then there are people who know that they're separate, but still have this sort of persistent idea that paid leave includes job protected time off. And so employers are saying to us, essentially my people are taking 24 weeks of time because they get 12 weeks from FMLA and 12 weeks from you guys. And we're like, oh God, no. So I think is the hope is that this sort of format will help us have the time and space to really get into those issues. And we also hope that the lawyers will show up, right? It's pretty easy to give Connecticut continuing legal education credits. So we think this will cover for that. We're looking to see what the requirements are for New York and Massachusetts, because that might also be a poll for folks if we can say that it counts toward those as well, because a lot of Connecticut attorneys are covered in both states or multiple states. So if we can get to the lawyers who are counseling the employers, that'll also expand the reach.
Okay, that's helpful. And yes, that does answer my question. I appreciate it. Thank you.
And we know there's a tremendous need and desire for this. So Erin and Ellen presented a webinar just a couple of weeks ago on paid leave and FMLA, and I think they had 200 participants, and every time they do it, it's those kinds of numbers. So we know that even though time, has passed, there's still a need, right, for this more in-depth education on the two laws and all the ancillary things that go with it.
Anyone else? So I'll just chime in and say, I think it's a fantastic idea. And Jeff, I have some thoughts about, just because there's such a concentration of employers down here, and when I speak to people that still don't know they can take paid leave, employees of some of the largest corporations, and then, like you said, many of the smaller ones too, it's remarkable to me. So I'd love to connect with you and just share a couple of ideas. Not take up any time here because we need to have a motion to approve the development of the leave management conference for employers. So I'm asking for a motion to move forward.
So moved. Eva.
Thank you, Ava. May I have a
I'll
second?
second. It's Isha. Second.
Thank you, Eva. All in favor?
Can I ask a question? What's the motion? Is it a dollar amount? I know it's to go forward, but
We weren't asking for approval on a dollar amount because we are hoping to have it be less than that 6,000 something. So our thought was it's going to go into the fiscal year 27 budget. So by the time we get to the budget, we'll have a clearer idea. So really, we wanted your approval to move forward, develop it, knowing that we don't expect it to cost more than that $6,000 or $7,000, and hoping it'll cost less.
okay, thank you.
Thank you. So we have a second, am I right? Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, the motion carries. Justin, thanks for asking for the clarification. Okay, moving right along to Maddie. Would you kindly provide the legislative update?
Sure, yeah. Thanks, Fran. Morning, everyone. Sorry, you can see my screen, right?
You can see your screen, Maddie.
Okay, great. I just have a brief legislative update for everyone this morning. The 2026 legislative session began last week. Since it is a short session this year, it will adjourn on May 6th. While the authority did not put forward a legislative proposal of our own this year, we are monitoring bills very closely, and we're prepared to act on anything introduced that could impact our program or our day-to-day operations. We've also conducted outreach to each caucus in the House and the Senate to host a briefing on the status of the program and ways that we can collaborate. So far, we've had briefings for members and staff at House and Senate Democrats, and we have another scheduled next week with Senate Republicans. We have additional outreach pending as well. Briefings provide an update to legislators on the status of our program, including demographics of claims, outreach activities, as well as the impact of certain proposals could potentially have on the solvency of our fund and our program as a whole. This year, as was discussed a little bit earlier, we're also planning to continue to send our monthly legislative newsletter. This includes updates, recent news, and upcoming events, and it's sent to all legislators and their staff. This year, we will especially focus on connecting legislators to the events that our outreach team is planning in towns in their districts, just to let them know that we'll be in their area and then ask for their help to get the word out. I also appreciate the feedback from earlier, and we'll definitely work on including, some sample language to include in newsletters that folks can easily share. So that's all I have for now, but I'll have more updates, I'm sure, in the coming months. So thank you.
Thank you, Maddie.
Thanks.
Moving on to the committee reports. David, would you please provide the policy and personnel report?
Sure. The update is a short one this month because we did not meet this month, so there is no update.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Moving on to Ava, the committee report
We did
on
meet
outreach
last
and
month.
engagement.
So we did meet last month, but it's also short because all we had was general updates. We didn't vote on anything, and our next meeting is going to be on March 19th.
Excellent, thank you so much. And Holly, the finance and audit report.
Yes, the committee met in January, at which time we received an update on the budget review of spending to date, and Dave is going to go through those reports now.
Thank you, Holly. Good morning, everybody. We are going to go over the results for December with a preview of January and fiscal year-end projections, as usual. So for the month of January, our operating results were a negative $959,000. That was just under $235,000 of a positive variance for the month. It was a typical month in terms of spending. It was payroll and related expenses, contact center, outreach, and software licenses. So nothing out of the ordinary. Year to date, our activity, including the redesignation transfer we did back in July, was a negative $12.6 million. And that is over $1.5 million positive variance year to date through December that we're seeing so far for our operations. And most line items are positive that are contributing to that number. For bond money, we spent just over $33,000 this month. That was just under an $8,600 positive variance. So that bettered our year-to-date variance to a negative $53,000. Our year-to-date spending of bond money has been $306,000 so far. So we do expect to be pretty close to our budget number by the end of the year. Bond money available is $1.1 million as of the end of the month. And we do expect to have enough bond money available for us to use through the end of the fiscal year. For our contribution activity for the month of December, the net activity was just over a negative $37 million. That was a just over a $1,036,000 negative variance for the month. The negative variance contributor was benefits paid. We did have a negative $1.6 million variance for the month. That was partially offset by the positive variance of over $491,000 for contribution revenue for the month. Circling back to benefits paid for the month, it was just under $38 million for the month. That is a $9.5 million weekly average. That was lower than last month, which was $9.9 million, which is typical for December. We usually see a seasonality decrease in December and January, and we did see it again this year. One thing I do want to point out is that our investment income came in pretty close to budget at $1.9 million. The investment rate we're earning that we earned in December was 3.9%. That's lower than what we had budgeted of 4.1%. And it'll be that way foreseeably for the rest of the fiscal year. In fact, the rate we're earning is going down. It was lower in the month of January. So there may be a negative variance for the rest of the year. But we already have a positive variance of almost $1,060,000. So what does that all mean at the end of the fiscal year? I'll let you know in a minute. I'm hearing an echo. Does somebody have a question or? Okay. Year to date, our activity has been just over $11.6 million. That is a negative 21, almost over a $21.3 million negative variance. Two factors contributing to that. Number one, benefits paid is more than what we budgeted almost a year ago. So that's over a $16.4 million negative variance. And our contribution revenue, even though we had a positive variance this month, year to date is still a negative variance of $6.5 million. And again, we'll let you know how that affects our year-end projections in a minute. The contribution fund itself is over $574 million at the end of December. Quick preview for the month of January. The January expenses were pretty similar to December, coming in at $992,000 of operating expenses. Our benefits paid for the month were $45.9 million, higher than last month, only because we reimbursed Aflac for 5 weeks instead of 4 weeks. But if you look at it on a weekly average, it was $9.2 million in January, which is lower than the $9.5 million in December. So again, that winter trend of benefits going down continues to happen. In terms of money coming in, January was the month for that the contributions for the last calendar quarter were due. So we got $111.4 million of contributions. We'll have more of an analysis of that at next month's board meeting. And the investment income was $1.7 million. And again, that is lower than what we got last month because we are earning a lower rate of interest. Okay, projections for year end. In terms of our operating account, not much has changed since our last projection. We are projecting a $1.6 million positive variance for the fund. So after the redesignation transfer, that's a negative $12.7 million amount of activity. Before the redesignation transfer, which only happens once a year, the actual activity for the fund is a positive $1.4 million. So again, it's still about a $1.6 million variance either way you look at it. For our contribution activity, we have updated the contribution revenue. Previously, we were showing a positive variance for contribution revenue. We have lowered the contribution revenue down to the budgeted amount so that it's the same. Why have we done that? Number one, you see that year to date, we have a negative variance. Number two, we see an overall cooling of the labor market in Connecticut. And that's based upon what we're seeing from the information that the state of Connecticut is providing. There's slower job growth. There's a declining labor force. The unemployment rate is higher than it was a few months ago, although it is lower than the national average. So that's still good. So the labor market's not horrible or terrible or anything like that, but it is cooling. So with that comes the wage increases that we've seen year over year haven't been what we've seen historically. So for all those reasons, we've lowered the contribution revenue and the fund recovery revenue to be at the budget amount. We did just get the latest contribution revenue in for the current quarter. We are analyzing that with our actuaries, and at the next finance committee meeting at the end of this month and next month's board meeting, they'll have more to share on how that looks along with the benefit activity. The benefit number that we have forecasted is still the same for now. Again, we're looking at that with our actuaries. So if that needs to be revised, we'll do so in partnership with their input, and we'll share that with you next month. But still a negative 7.5 variance. At the end of the day, that means we are projecting a negative $6.3 million variance for our contribution activity. But even though that's less than what we budgeted, it is still a positive number at almost $5.9 million of positive activity for the contribution account by June of 2026. So that's where we are and where we think we'll be at the end of the fiscal year. I'm happy to entertain any questions at this time.
Any questions or comments for Dave? Thank you, Dave. I think we can move along. There are no further questions. Erin, CEO report, please.
Thank you so much, Fran. First, I want to thank everybody for approving us to move forward with the leave management conference. We're really excited about it, and I think it is part and parcel of our slightly adjusted shift in our outreach that Jessica discussed. A lot of people do know about the program, but there's still people who don't. But also there are people who just need assistance in understanding it more, how for workers to understand how to file claims so that they are able to be approved, and for employers to understand how to manage it. There's a lot of good data about benefits that can accrue to employers and to the workforce. And we want to make sure that employers understand what they need to do to actually realize those benefits. So thank you for approving the management conference. I want to really take a moment to thank Jessica and her team for their creativity. It's a blessing to have people where it's just like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we could think of things that would support employers, and then they go and identify 18 things and then go implement them all. So it's just been really amazing. I want to acknowledge that we tried to have a update for advocates, just so that the folks who helped pass the law in 2019 and helped us implement the last few years, we wanted to make sure that we were having an opportunity to meet with them in addition to the newsletter that Maddie sends out. However, the scheduled day was that Monday 2 weeks ago where we had 2 feet of snow, and everybody was busy shoveling. So we're going to try and reschedule that later on once we get through the craziness of the start of session. And then just to echo what Dave said, we are really working very closely with the actuaries and AFLAC to try and clear up the crystal ball a little bit. Even though our weekly benefit numbers have been slightly lower in January, January was our highest number for claim starts. So people who filed claims and got approved was the highest number ever in our program. So, so the payments are something of a lagging indicator, right? Because we're still paying the lower numbers because we have fewer claims in November and December. As those January approvals, which people can file early, so they may not have gone out on leave yet, as those start coming through, we're going to see increases again. That coupled with the first couple of quarters of contributions being lower, although this past quarter the contributions were slightly high again. So it's all just very mercurial. And so we're just keeping a very close eye on it, and we'll of course keep you all informed. So please show up for next month's actuarial report. Will be as exciting as always. And I just want to thank Fran for being the power behind the throne, because Fran is going to be moderating the panel at the CBIA conference. So thank you, Fran, for the invitation for me to participate.
Yeah, I'm excited.
So a lot's going on, as you've heard, and again, I just want to reiterate finally what I said last month, which is if there are elements of our program that you are interested in that you don't hear enough about. So you hear a lot about the finances, you hear a lot about the claims, you hear a good amount about outreach. Last month you got to hear about private plans and our IT. But if there are elements that you're just like, hey, what else is happening? Please let me know, and we're happy to shed more light on our day-to-day operations. We all do a lot, so we're happy to share what we're up to.
Erin, thank you. Any questions for Erin or any follow-up? Any reactions?
Okay.
Well, a job well done. Everybody's report was just really on par and a really great picture of where we are, where we're going. And I'm really excited about the marketing efforts. So congrats to the whole team. Do we have any old business? Any new business? All right, well, it looks like everyone is getting another 69 minutes back in their day. So may I have a motion to adjourn?
Give you a motion. It's Isha.
Isha, thank you. May I have a second?
Second.
Second. Oh,
All in favor?
aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, the motion carries. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much.
everyone.
Thank you.